This tells you how to do the spore stain. The spore stain is a differential stain, so that means it's going to be using two different stains. The reason to do it is to try to see or detect the presence of endospores. Not all bacteria produce endospores. Some do, and if they do, you may want to be able to see them. The primary stain is malachite green, and the counter stain or secondary stain is saffron. Now, one thing with the spore stain, yes, you would do the smear and the heat fixation first, but you also have to apply heat while doing the stain, while adding the stains, the primary stain. And the reason you have to apply the heat is to allow that stain to be able to penetrate through the wall of the endospore. Remember, the whole purpose of an endospore is to survive very harsh conditions. So it's got a very tough coating around that spore. So you have to be able to penetrate it with the stain. The only way to do that is to heat it. Once you are done doing the entire stain, what will happen is the endospores are going to pick up that malachite green, so they're going to look green, but the vegetative cells will stain red. So the way you do this is you take your slide. You would have already done the smear and heat fixed it. So then, like I say, you're going to have to heat this up. So usually the way we do this is we set up on a hot plate a beaker, and we get water boiling or almost boiling where it's steaming, and you place the slide. Now, if you can put it on some type of a rack to keep it from falling into the beaker, that's very helpful. But you're going to put the slide over so the steam is underneath and it's rising up. It's going to be heating that slide up. On top of the slide, you are going to put a piece of blotting paper. It's going to be so the paper is over the smear. And then you are going to add malachite green to the paper. You want to keep it nice and moist. So you've got a beaker, you have the slide on top of the beaker. The beaker has water in it that's boiling or close to boiling, so it's steaming. You've got the slide with the blotting paper, and then you've taken that malachite green. You keep that blotting paper moist. So you flood it with the malachite green. You need to time it now for 3 minutes. Keep it over the steam for 3 minutes. Don't let the blotting paper dry out. So you're going to have to watch it. You are going to have to add more malachite green to it. Usually I add it just 1 drop at a time. Just don't let that paper dry out. After 3 minutes, be careful not to burn yourself. You need to remove the slide. What you're going to do is remove the slide, put it in usually you have a tray that you're doing your staining processes in, and put the slide down. Remove the paper that you had just flooded with the malachite green. Go ahead and pull that paper off. Rinse the slide now. Once the paper's removed, rinse it. Then you're going to add saffron. This is a red dye. You're going to add that saffron for 1 minute. After 1 minute, you will rinse it, and then you will blot the slide dry and then view it under the microscope. As I mentioned earlier, the spores will stain green and the vegetative cells will stain red. Now on this slide you can see some of the spores on the end that they are that darker green onto it. It's a little bit hard to see, but it's that darker green. In this case, the endospores are on the end of the cells, but you can see them, but the vegetative cells are the reddish pink color.